Let me know when you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Thanks. So today I said, let me just start with this small chipping in before we continue to the meat of the day. So I just want to share this small write-up on what company wants from people, what companies are looking for. So in terms of working in tech, these are the 4 categories of skills we should watch out for, right? And these are what they need when they want to hire somebody. Now, everything we are doing learning Python is just in this session here called the coding skills. Okay. Okay, you can do for loop, you can do while loop, you can do this, that one, you understand dictionary, you understand list, and all these Python data structures. Now, that alone is not what is required for you to be able to work with your Python. You need more than that. And the first one we'll look at now is the analytical skills. When we talk about the analytical skills, in terms of this class we are going now, if you're doing the exercises, this is what you'll be building. You see, those exercise questions, they are not straightforward. You need to think through the problem and analyze it properly before you can solve it. If you cannot analyze it, most likely you will solve it, but you get a wrong solution. So people are looking for people that can analyze and think through problems. So for instance, now if you're doing a coding interview or an interview on Python, they can ask you to solve a problem. They are not just looking out for you to solve the problem correctly, but they are looking out for you to be able to think about the problem, discuss it with them, and that time you're discussing the problem with them is when they are understanding how you think. Okay, so if they give you a problem and you just start solving the problem, you can get it, but they are not able to see your analytical skills. But your ability to say, okay, this problem, this is the way I'm going to approach it. I think this is the solution. You can ask them, what I'm saying, is it in order? Is that really what you want? They will be they also tell you, okay, no, we are looking at it from this point of view or this and that. You can ask them what sort of inputs, So those are your ability to think about problems and solve it. That's your analytical skills. So if you see you're solving those problems, analytically, you're developing those skills to understand the problem, read through, or someone tells you, then have an understanding and then work through it serially. That's an important skill for every developer, analytical skills. Then the coding skills is the one we are doing every time we come for this class primarily. Do you code well? And then when we finish this one now, we'll now talk about writing clean codes. Who is? Somebody needs to be
They're disturbing
muted.
us. Yes.
So you now talk about writing clean code, right? We'll still talk about that. Then we'll now talk about organizing your code, readable comments. We'll still talk about that in later sessions, So we are still in kind of, do you code well? Everything we are doing is coding skills. Okay. Now, in addition to this, we'll now talk about technical skills. Do you know the fundamentals of the job you're applying for? So if you're applying to become a Python developer somewhere, the question now is, do you understand the fundamentals of Python? Right? So every time you see we are talking about, how does Python manage memory? We've mentioned something like the garbage collector, even though later we'll still talk about it. We'll talk about memory. Oh, in memory, this is how your variable is stored, and this list is mutable. I mean, list is not mutable, it's immutable, right? Some of them are mutable. No, list is mutable, string is immutable. Those kind of understanding of Python fundamentals, right? Those are the technical skills now you're talking about. They look out for that one. Then communication skills. Does your personality match the company's culture? Now, when you want to handle these two, most times you will see them in the job description. They'll tell you the kind of technical skills they're talking about. Okay, you should know Python, you should know maybe Flask, you should know maybe how to use JIT. Those things will be listed in the job description. So those kind of things now you're supposed to like know them. Most times you don't even really need to know them deep. You just need to have an understanding of what they do to be able to speak about them, right? You don't need to know everything because most companies will hire and still train you, right? So why I'm sharing this with us is, you see this class we are doing, if you finish it and you've been following the exercises, you're good enough to start striking for interviews, right? And interview is not about you've done so many things. Interview is about your confidence. Okay, you believe you can do it. Then you sit down there, you know how to code. You understand the technical skills that are required for that job, which are in the job description. Then the personality, they will also write the kind of people they are, their values. Every company have their own, which you will read about on their websites. From there, you now check, okay, do I really align with this people? Do I want to work with them? You know those things. Then with this, if you understand these 4 things, any interview, you can go to it and match it. They don't expect so much from you. Of course, after this particular Python fundamental, we're supposed to go into something about data structures and algorithm. That will now make us understand a little bit, a little deeper about how all these things come together and that still feeds into like technical skills. Okay. So I said, let me mention this so that we'll start seeing the need to, think about this, what they are looking for. It's not just, oh, I know how to code, but you are a good team player. You can communicate. Okay. You can analyze and communicate. Talk to somebody about what you think of the problem. Share ideas. I don't know if anyone has anything to say. Anybody have anything to say?
Well, we've not been there. It's just for us to have this in at the back of our minds.
Okay. Okay,
We
nice.
we can now begin to hone these other aspects of the program, I guess.
Yeah. These two now, like these
Mhm.
last two, if you
Mhm.
see a job you want to apply for, this is just about you. Do you understand the job, what they want? Did you read through? You don't just throw in your application, read through. Because they take time to put
Recording in
out,
progress.
they take time to put out the description of what they want, right?
Yeah.
When you read it, you understand most of this and you pick key points there, you see, to prepare yourself. But we'll still talk about things like this as we go forward. So I just said, let me drop this here so that we'll not just think, oh, you know how to code this, or you should be able to analyze problems, talk about them.
You
Later,
did well.
I'll share a video of an interview someone did with Google. It's on YouTube. You will see the way the person approached the solution, although not now. Later when we finish this course, so that if you share it now, you might be like, oh, he's saying things that maybe you don't understand. So leave that one. Okay, let's now go into what we have for today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So today we are going to talk about dictionary. The chapter we are in the book is on dictionary. And in Python, when we talk about dictionaries, we are basically talking about working with key value pairs. So you have a key and you have a value. Okay. Now, the syntax, how it is just like this. So this, for instance, is a dictionary called person. In this person dictionary, it is enclosed by this type of bracket, which is called the curly bracket. So let me write it like this. So a dictionary is just like, so like this, you've declared a dictionary, but it's empty. So it's the curly brackets, like this is a dictionary. But now what I've just done is an empty dictionary. Okay. Now inside your dictionary, you will now have a key and then colon, then you have a value. So dictionary goes by key value pair. What does this key value pair do? For you to access the value, you need to know the key. Now, let me relate it to list. In list like this, we can have one comma, no, we can have 1, 2. What's happening? Okay, my num lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then use a list. We know that list has indices. So if you want to capture this number 3 now, normally you can call it by, if the list is L, you can say something like L, and the index of 3 is what? Number 3 here is what's the index?
2.
2. Great.
0,
So
1.
because you put index of 2, you access 3. So already you know that all the numbers in a list, they are accessed directly through an index. So if once you know the index, you can access the value. Now in dictionary, instead of index, that's just assume now this index now is what we are now calling what? A key. So now, but the key now is user defined. You're the one to define the key. In terms of list, you just put the values, and then they already have something you can use to access them, which is the index. Index, and it's just serial numbers, position numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Now, but for dictionary now, you now use a key and access the value. So if I was to put these numbers now in the dictionary, it could now look like this. So I have 0, and then the value at 0 is what? 1. Then items in the dictionary are separated by a comma. Then I have the next item will be item in place 1, and then the item there is 2. Okay, comma. So what am I doing now? You can see that the key to return 1 here is 0. The key to return 2 is 1. So each of them are in key value pairs like this. The items in the dictionary are in key value pairs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So which means if I want to get this item number 2, I will then come into the dictionary and I'll call the key. So the key to number 2 now is 1. So if I access it like this now, it will return the value. So this is the key, this is the value. It looks like list, but it's not list. Just understand the difference. I just related it with the index of a list. So we can try to understand that, oh, a list, you use the index to get the value. But here now, it's not index, so it's the key. And the key is not serial like 0, 1, 2, 3. The key is anything you define, but there are certain things that cannot be a key. We'll talk about that shortly. So, okay, that's it. Dictionary. And that's how now you see here in declaration, I have this dictionary called person. Person now, the curly bracket is open. The first key here is what name, the name of the person, and the value is John. Then it's comma. The next item in the dictionary is age, and the value is 23. The next item is, next key is country, and then the person's country, is from the United Kingdom. Do you get? So the keys now in this dictionary are name, age, and country. The values in this dictionary are John, 23, and United Kingdom, but they all are attached to a key because everything in the dictionary is in a key value pair. Now, there are certain things in this dictionary again. You cannot have 2 keys that are the same. Every key must be unique. Okay? Every key has to be unique. You don't have 2 keys that are the same. They are unique. Okay, and then the values. Now let's talk about the values. When we talk about the key value pair, the value can be also a list. Okay, so let me add another item. What will this item be now? let me just say points. Let's say the person has played a game and he played it 5 times and he has this point. So the points are
Who is
like
disturbing us here?
2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you see, this is a list, but here now the list is a
Is
value
function
of
as value
this key point.
points.
You get
The
so
key.
the value now can be anything. The value can
Okay.
even be another dictionary. Okay, the value can also be another dictionary. Maybe maybe I can then put another key and say job, right? And then in the job now, I can now have another dictionary. Let's say job as a company. The key now in this dictionary now, you can say company. He's working for federal government. Let me just call it FG. Okay, you can see company is the key, and then the value is FG. You can also have that, okay, he has a salary, and then salary. His salary is another key inside this second dictionary. And the value of this salary, let's just say they pay him 100,000 per month. Okay. So what I'm trying to show here is that you can have another dictionary as a value. So the value can
But
be
excuse me.
okay. Go
Sorry
ahead.
to cut you short. I want to find out. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
In this point, I thought dictionaries have curly brackets. It makes
Sorry,
use
I
of
didn't
curly
get that.
brackets. I said dictionaries makes use of curly brackets.
Yes.
And you in this one, the key points, you are using square brackets, which is a list. You're
As a
still calling it
value.
dictionary again.
As a value.
The value is yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying that the values can be anything. Okay.
Okay, it can be anything.
The
Okay.
value now can be a list. The value can be a
Okay.
string. The value can be an
Okay.
integer. You can see different ones have been used. And the value can be another dictionary.
Dictionary.
Just
Okay.
as we
Okay.
have list in a list. This not as if dictionary in a dictionary. You can even inside this dictionary now, the first key now, instead of FG, this FG now can also be another dictionary. It can go deeper. And how it goes deeper affect the way you access the elements in the dictionary.
But it has to be key valued pair.
Key value pair, yes. That's the primary thing about dictionary. Key
Okay.
value. You have key and you have value. You have key and you have value. All the items are maintained like that. So if you want to call the item, you use the key to call it.
Oh,
You want to access
okay.
the item, you use the key to access it. You don't just access the item. Like list, you use the index to access the item. Here now you use the key to access the item. That's the difference. Okay.
All right.
Later on, you
Thank
will
you.
see the usefulness of these different structures we are discussing. Okay, now I now remember something else before we continue on dictionary syntax. That's where we are. I wrote this word here, tuple. Okay. Although tuple is not in the book, but I think we should just talk about it briefly. What is a tuple? A tuple, there is another data structure. We've talked about list, right? Now we are talking about dictionary because we are following the book. But there is one now that I think you should know before dictionary, which is a tuple. Tuple is similar to a list, but a list is mutable. Okay, let me slow down. We need to get these things like understand them. A list,
It's mutable.
list is mutable, right?
Mm.
It's mutable. mean you can change the items in a list. Now, a tuple is almost like a list. They share similar properties in many ways, but it's
But it's
immutable.
immutable.
You
Okay.
can't change it once a tuple is declared. You can't change the items. You can't add items to it. It's just going to be like that. So, and then how is a tuple? I can have this T equal to, now this one uses this bracket, like this normal bracket. Okay. So list will be like this, square bracket. Tuple would be a round bracket. And it is just like list. So a tuple can consist of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like list. If you want to access the items, it has indices. You use the indices to also access the items inside. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. You can use, but you can't modify it. Now, whenever you want to modify something like a tuple, what you typically would do, you will convert it to a list and modify it. So as I've declared this tuple now as t equal to this, if I wanted to add more items to it, I can say t1 should be equal to list, and then I put t. So by doing this list t, I'm converting this tuple, which is called t, to a list, right? When I convert it to a list, I can then say maybe t1 dot append. Append is to add item to a list. I'm not append 8. So I've added, or 7. I've added 7. Okay, let me just say, yeah, 7. Now I've added 7 to the tuple. After adding 7 to the list, anyway, let's put it this way. It's not a list because I've changed it to a list. Then I add 7. After adding 7, I will convert it back to a tuple. You see? So the secret now to modifying and working with tuple, you will change it to
A list.
list, then do what you want to do and bring it back to tuple. Once you bring it back to the tuple, you can't modify it again. That's just how it is. It's immutable. Shares similar properties to list in the sense that you can index into it. The items are arranged serially, right? So anytime you want to declare some certain type of hold some values that you don't want to modify, you can use a tuple in your programming. Just use a tuple and put them in a tuple. You're not going to modify it, but you can unpack it. You can take items from it. Okay, so I just want to mention that here about the tuple, and then we continue because we are going to see it in dictionary. Let me see now.
I have a question, please.
Go ahead with your question, please, too.
Actually, two questions. First one is on tuple. The tuple data structure, is it
Yeah.
just one data type that you can use per time, or you can mix the data types that you can use?
Oh, yeah, it's like list. You can put different data types.
Okay, so I can have, for an instance, like I have integers and floats and maybe string in one tuple.
Exactly.
So super, super. Then for the dictionary, before you proceed, can we just move down a bit so we can see that last entry you have on the dictionary? Yeah.
Okay, here
If you
we
want to
are.
access salary now, if you want to access the key salary, how
You
would
want
you
to know
access
how
it in
much
this
the
document?
person in.
Yes.
Okay, good. So we are still, we just only declared it, right?
I'm coming to that.
We'll come to that.
Okay. So
Let me say
Are you,
empty D.
are you from Russia?
So first of all, you have an empty dictionary. and then this way is declared, then this another dictionary is not empty. You see the key and the value. Okay. Another thing in tuple, you can have duplicates, so you can have maybe another two here. You know,
It's
list
not unique.
it's not unique value. In list, you can also have duplicates. Is allowed, right? It's allowed. Now, but when you now start coming to how do I say it now? When you start coming to dictionary, the keys must be unique, right?
Okay.
Just hold on, let me just check this thing on my phone. Okay, let's continue. Sorry. These properties we are mentioning, even though we didn't take a tuple on a class of its own, just please bear it in mind. Primarily, it's almost like list, even though it doesn't have the methods of list. Let's even check it. Let's check it. So we'll just see the methods that it has. I know it doesn't have much method. So in Python, I have the tuple. Okay, I need the methods, tuple methods. So you can see it has count. It returns the number of items and it has index, searches the tuple for a specified value, and returns the position of where it's found. So just these two methods. Okay. Most of what anything you want to do with the tuple, just take it to like list and do. But they share similarities with list. Just look at it like a list that you cannot modify, right? Great. So now back to dictionary. So in terms of the syntax to declare it, you can declare an empty dictionary like this, and then you have a dictionary like this, the key and the value, the key and the value. Now we've said again, the value can be any type of data. That's why we just put list here and we put a dictionary here. Now to access the values of items in a dictionary, the syntax is you say person now. So if I want to get the name, you use this square bracket, then you call the key. So if I do this, if I say print, if I print this, let me see, I'm going to print this. So I save the file and then I run it. Python 11.py. This is our 11th class. So you see, when I run it, I get the name, which is the value. So I'm accessing the value by calling the key. So once I say person name, it comes out. Now, someone asked a question, how do I know the salary of John? Let's say there's a structure like this and you want to know how much John in. Now, for you to get this whole dictionary is a value. For me to get it, what do I do? I'm going to call what? What key? What key am I
Job.
to access?
Job.
Job. So job is a key in person. Now let's see if I call it. You see, it returns to me another
The whole of.
dictionary, right? Now, since it's returning a value that is a dictionary and you want to access salary, how do I access salary now? I'll call again the key,
Salary.
salary.
Okay.
Now, notice how I called it. I called person job and I purposely printed it so you will see what this part will return. Person job return the value, which is another dictionary.
Dictionary.
Now I want to go into that dictionary. I will now use the next key, which is salary. Call salary on it
Okay.
again, and then I run it. So you see, I'm now printing the salary. Okay. So even this thing can get complex anyhow you want to arrange it. For instance, points. In points, I just put a list that is just number. The list can also contain another list. The list can also contain another dictionary. It can even contain a tuple. Do you understand? So all structures, you can keep putting them in one another like that,
Inside.
inside another.
Okay.
And when you want to access them, you access them step by step. First thing you access job, you get it, the value.
Yeah.
Then when you've gotten the value, you now access the next key. If it were a list, you follow it by index. Okay, like that. No matter how complex it presents itself, you just know how to unpack it this way. This is just like maybe when you're dealing with database, you sign into Twitter or Facebook. It can query a database. There's a database there that store your details, right? In the back end, they query that database. It brings your details in a structure that looks like a dictionary. Okay. Now, the people that developed it now, they know that this dictionary will come in a form. A form, maybe when they see job will now have a value of another dictionary. They already know. So they will now use like this to be assessing the different properties of the person and then load it onto the website. You will now see your name, you see your age, you see your parameters showing. Okay. So there are structures like this that are working with either list or dictionary, tuple. At least those are the ones we've touched so far. So this is how you access the elements in this form. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, let's proceed again now to the dictionary keys. Okay. Now I've told you the values can be anything. The keys now, what can be a key in a dictionary? Not everything can be a key in a dictionary. Only things that are immutable can be keys in a dictionary. Okay? Only immutable types of data can be keys in a dictionary. Did you catch that?
How do you know the immutable ones?
So I throw it back to the class. Which ones do you know now that are immutable? Only immutable. Did I say mutable? No, not mutable.
That means it's list.
No, hold on. If I said mutable, error. Only immutable.
Is immutable, you said?
Okay, that means it's double. Did you say immutable? Immutable, they are just double now.
Mutable is immutable. If I said mutable before, that is a mistake, slip of tongue. Only immutable data types can be